Hey everyone, this is Walter, and I'm back here today with more stories from Reddit. Happy Veterans Day, hooah! Today we're going to be talking about relationships and problems that may occur in them. Posts are likely to come from places like Reddit relationships and Am I the Asshole? And they might not all be about romantic relationships, they're just stories I wanted to tell. Let's just get into it with relationship nightmares from Reddit. Am I the asshole for saying I will not be doing anything for my nephew because of what his mothers did? Before I get into what happened, I will state that I am a full ally to the LGBT+ community, and that will never change. My upsetment is towards the individuals and not their orientations. I will report any homophobic responses I see. I knew my ex-wife Zoe was bisexual, and I didn't have any issues with it. I also knew my sister June was gay, but she had other girlfriends. I never had any reason to think something was up until I discovered Zoe cheating on me with June. I found out this had been going on for years, even before we got married, or were even officially boyfriend and girlfriend. This was devastatingly painful to me. I would have done my best to be accepting if Zoe ended our relationship the responsible way, by explaining to me that she wasn't in love with me anymore and dated June after. But the fact that they had been lying to me for years, and Zoe led me on with the hope of starting a family when she never actually intended to, is what tore me up inside. Zoe and June refused to understand my pain at all and had the attitude of, why should we have to apologize for being in love? Most of our family agreed with Zoe and June because we spent most of our childhoods in non-LGBT friendly area, so didn't they deserve happiness after all that? It's not that they don't deserve happiness, it's that I want at least some acknowledgement about how wrong they were to lie to me. The few family members on my side were focused on homophobia and not Zoe or June lying to me. We were once extremely close, but now I am low contact with them to the point of only talking in emergencies. I was offered a position for a better paying company across the state and I took it. I have a girlfriend, Peyton, and am close with her family and our friends, but I had barely talked to Zoe or June until they reached out to me. They were acting friendly over text like, "Hey Mikey, how has it been? How was St. Lucia? The photos you posted looked so fun." I asked what they wanted. They responded, "So sorry about that," and explained that it's about my nephew, Charlie. Charlie has attended a local daycare/preschool center, but now Zoe and June are looking at a Montessori school because Charlie is an artist and they say it would be extremely beneficial to his development if he attended. They told me since I have a ton of money just lying around because of my job, I could help with my nephew's tuition for at least the first few years. I told Zoe and June, how about instead you either find an ATM that you didn't lie to and cheat on, or pay for it yourselves? I don't care he's my nephew. I will not be doing anything for Charlie because you both aren't even sorry for what you did to me. Peyton, her family, and our friends support me because I don't owe my nephew private school anyway. But my family are saying that I was cruel to say that about my nephew because he has nothing to do with what happened and I am not acting like a good uncle, so now I am conflicted. How do these women have the audacity to ask him for anything? You'd think they'd be avoiding him in shame. And the family calling homophobia, holy shit, this guy needs to drop his whole family. They've obviously taken sides. This kind of thing just makes it look less legitimate when there's actual homophobia. And I feel like this guy's a saint for even worrying about it. I know it's not the nephew's fault, but I would have been overjoyed to tell them to fuck off. Someone said it better than me. Not the asshole. Please, please, please do not be conflicted. You are the victim in this. Your sister, your family was happy to lie for years and sleep with your partner. You don't go back from that. You should be no contact. They shouldn't be seeing your photos on social media. When she did that, she decided she wasn't your sister. Second, your nephew is not dying of cancer and looking for money for treatment. He's not homeless and living in the streets with his mothers. They just want a different school. He still has an education. They just want more, like they did before. They're just entitled human beings. And now they are spinning it as you not being a good uncle, and poor Charlie. No, you are not his uncle. Your sister decided you two were not family. Charlie is not suffering. There is no poor Charlie. LOL at there, he is an artist. No, most of us grow up with parents who can't afford private school. We don't go demanding money from others. The kids just go to normal schools. Honestly, cut your whole family off. You have a wonderful new partner in Peyton. You get on well with her family. They are your family. Focus on them. Family doesn't have to be blood. It's the people we choose. 100% agree with this. Just want to add on too that as a lesbian myself, please don't let them use growing up in a homophobic area as an excuse for this. If your sister had come to you immediately after they hooked up the first time with an apology that cited her inability to come out growing up as an explanation, not an excuse for why this happened, then that's one thing. You still aren't obliged to forgive her, even in that case too. But doing it over the course of years and not ever providing you with a genuine apology for what that did to you is disgusting. I absolutely despise when people try to use homophobia as a shield for facing criticism for their bad behavior. It's so wrong and harmful. Yeah, there's a ton of people looking for ammo to use against queer people. This just helps them. Am I the asshole for getting an entire table for myself after my husband and his mom didn't save me a seat? I'll start this off by saying that I, female 32, have been with my husband, Bob, male 39, for 3 years, married for 1. His mom has a habit of keeping me out of most of their functions with the excuse of, you work too much. Not true, because sometimes I do make myself available, but yet find myself excluded. Last week, his mom invited us for a celebratory dinner at the restaurant after she completed her recovery. I had to work that day, but I let her and everyone know that I'd be there at 8 p.m. Bob obviously knew I was coming. Thing is, when I arrived to the restaurant, I saw that the table was full. All chairs had been taken, and I just stood there with complete puzzlement while Bob and his mom just stared at me. His mom then told me that there was no place left for me and that I could either have Bob get up and take his seat or go home. I was so upset, but instead of going home, I just went and took an entire table for me. Bob and his mom watched with their eyes popping out of their heads like they saw something so shocking. Not gonna lie, I did get weird looks from the guests, but so did Bob and his mom. It was awkward in all honesty. I had my dinner, dessert, then went home. I saw Bob and his mom staring grudgingly while I was making my way out. He got home an hour later and yelled, saying I embarrassed his mom in front of her guests. I yelled, asking what the fuck was I supposed to do after I got denied a seat, and he told me that it wasn't his nor his mom's fault. Guests arrived before me and took all the available chairs. I told him he could have saved me a chair. He said that I could have just left instead and reminded me that I was a guest and that I shouldn't expect this level of entitlement to be accepted. He then went on about how I ruined the entire dinner for him and his mom with what I did, and has been pouting about it for days now. I don't get it, I really don't. Was my expectation really that entitled? I mean, as his wife, he should have saved me a seat. But clearly I'm missing something here. Yeah, maybe this guy should just marry his mom. How's he going to take her side and ignore his wife like that? This is the behavior of a man who's almost 40? Apparently people were being reported for calling him a mama's boy, but how could you not? Not the asshole. OP, is this level of disrespect really what you want for the next 20 years? Not the asshole. They clearly excluded you and didn't help you get accommodated. This isn't some stranger, this is your husband, who had you eat dinner alone and then blamed you for what he did. Jumping in to add that everyone at that dinner party blows. If I were there and witnessed this interaction, you best bet I would have went and joined OP and picked up the tab, just to give your savagery the respect it is due. Yeah, not to mention the mother's the one who's objectively in the wrong here, inviting people and not having space for all of them. Not the asshole. I'm appalled that her husband didn't get up and join her at the other table. He and dear old mom are the assholes. Okay, let's read one more story. Am I the asshole for calling out a man for stealing his stepson's birthday present? I'm a little upset right now, but I thought I should get your opinion before I have an even bigger blow-up. So my 30s male, cousin's 40s female, son Jake turned 16 recently. I'm very close with my cousin, and her son calls me Uncle OP. My cousin called me about a week ago, and said she was planning on getting her son a car for his birthday, but with the rising price of cars lately, she was a bit short. She asked if I could contribute to his gift. I said of course. Give me a couple days to move some stuff around, and I could send over about $1,000. She seemed very appreciative. I later talked with my husband about it, and he said that I should ask my cousin what he wants for his birthday, and give him the option of contributing to his car or buying him whatever else he may want. I thought that was fair. So I messaged him, and he informed me his grandmother bought him a new car about 2 weeks ago, and he would prefer an Amazon gift card. A week and 2 days before his mother asked me for money for a car, his grandmother bought him one. I asked a couple more questions. I found out the car was actually at his house already. He was annoyed because his stepdad had been using it since his grandma dropped it off. I asked, why is your stepdad using your new car that you haven't even driven yet? And he says because his stepdad just totaled his about 5 days ago. Stepdad is a blue-collar worker with a white-collar man's taste. Thinks he deserves all the best things because he's the man of the house. He didn't even buy that house. He moved into the house that my cousin owned already. Once I was over at their house for dinner, and he demanded the largest steak because he was the man of the house. That's what we're working with here. My God, what a sad, insecure little man. I hope he knows that's what other people see when he demands first pick of everything over his family. So I call Vanessa and I asked her what's going on, and she said, well, since my husband totaled his car and he didn't have full coverage, he's going to take Jake's and I'm going to buy Jake a used car. I blew up on her. I said, I'm not buying your husband a car. I thought it was absolute bullshit the way she made it sound like I was contributing to buy a car for Jake. Here's where I might be the asshole. I called the grandmother. Grandma's pissed. The car is in her name still. She told her daughter Vanessa her husband is not allowed to drive it. Now Vanessa is telling me I'm an asshole because I told her mother about how her husband essentially stole her son's car. And I don't understand what's going on. All she wanted was my help and I made things worse for her. I want to tell her to leave her shitty husband because all he does is take, but I'm trying to contain myself. Update 1. Took the day off to get down to business. Nailed down the timeline issues. Jake got his car from his grandma on a Monday. Wednesday, stepdad totaled his car. Started using Jake's. Jake told me his stepdad was very upset he had a nicer, newer car than him and got into an argument with his wife about it. I think he totaled his car on purpose. It would explain why insurance isn't covering anything. Heading over to the grandma's house now, talking about the money Jake's grandfather left for him, and possibly getting Jake out of the house. Family tree, Vanessa and I are second cousins. Our mothers are first cousins. They were raised together by their grandmother, so they were very close. Jake's grandma is my mother's first cousin. Jake calls me Uncle OP, but technically he is my second cousin, once removed. I'm almost 20 years older than he is. Imagine someone is nice enough to give $1,000 for someone's birthday and the people are just like, how can we take advantage of this? It's fucking horrible. This mother should be extremely ashamed of herself. It's hard for me to imagine a mom acting like that because mine wouldn't have, but good to see she picks her childish husband over her actual child. I hope she can have a long marriage of trying to fix his fragile ego as he's insecure about things like her teenage son having a car. Anyway, it's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the stories or my content in general, make sure you let me hear it in the comments. I do read those when the video's new. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of this and whatever else I feel like doing. Big thanks also to my awesome patrons who help me pay for things by contributing directly over on Patreon. You really help me be able to do this. I'm not sure what's coming next. Probably Elliot. I also have Lucas Werner's thoughts on what he'll do if he becomes president. That is pretty likely, so we'll probably want to know, right? Well, have a great Veterans Day, everyone, and I hope your families are less shitty than the ones from today's stories.